It's John McAteer and Eamon McFadden with their second podcast of the season, and it's the last edition of the Tribune for the month of April, 1/3 of the way through the year. Things going quite well, and we have a lovely paper again this week, Eamon.
We do. There's a good variety of stuff, some nice seasonal stuff, some nice nostalgic stuff, and a few newsy items, so we have the place well enough covered.
I look back at 20 years ago that we'll be dealing with in a little while. But our top story is the Green Deal will add to farm woes. It's for the first time ever we have a story competing with a canine. But that would be very typical in the Tribune, I suppose.
Nothing new there.
The Green Deal, and this is Brendan McLaughlin, the chair of the Donegal IFA, whom I interviewed on Monday. And we're saying that as Donegal farmers face the tightest of deadlines to cut carbon emissions by 10% between now and 2030, the chair of the Donegal IFA County Executive says that the targets can be achieved if the producers are guaranteed profitability and fair farm gate prices. And he goes on to say that we all want climate targets to save the planet, but we cannot kill farming as an industry. Sustainability may be a key priority, but for the farmers, profitability cannot be sacrificed as the price they are forced to pay in the long term. That's a lengthy story carried on the inside. And then we're going to go inside to what is page 2, or it's the second story, it's actually page 3. A well-known Rathmullen native, a fella who has worked in the post office for 40 years, and he's Tommy McNaught from Ochavenin, now living in Ballybuffet. And last Wednesday marked exactly 40 years since Tommy started working at the Department of Post and Telegraphs. Most of that loyal service has been in the post office on Letterkenny's main street, and he has seen many changes over those years. And he has seen the logo branding and rebranding of the service, and there's a huge volume of memorabilia and records of the vast wealth of knowledge that he has built up on that. He began his career with the P&T in Cavan for a short time. I suppose most people only like to spend a short time in Cavan. Then he came back to his formal training in Letterkenny, followed by another period in Claremorris before a 4.5 year stint in Monaghan from August 1981. So by the time he got a transfer back to the branch in Letterkenny's Main Street, the company's title had changed to An Post. So he spent a very large chunk of his career on the counter serving the public, as well as spells. He was managing the fleet, and he was also handling TV licences, which is never going to be the easiest of tasks. But we have a lovely piece done on that by Declan Kerr.
Well-known figure. Yep.
Tommy has resided in Ballybuffet since 2012, loves going to Finn Park, and now, I almost misread this, that is now resident in Ballybuffet since 2012. Making the short trip to Finn Park is even easier for the Man United fan, but probably not for Man United fans. Tommy and his wife Siobhan still make regular trips back to walk the Kinniger with their dog Princess.
Another dog theme.
That's another dog theme.
Well, we'll get to that later on too.
We're coming to that later on.
But 40 years a great level of service, isn't it? And for any career now.
Excellent. You'll not see that again, I don't think.
Washington, I suppose, via Ramelton is the one. Ramelton, as we know.
That thought Washington sounded better.
Washington, just outside Ramelton. Plenty of the Ramelton diaspora over the years have gone on to leave Ramelton and do very big things. I suppose quite a lot of them would have ended up making great strides in the United States. Professor Bill Campbell and these people that are more modern times. But there's one thing that has come into us there, as among the many famous figures on the world stage who were born or close to Ramelton is one William McAdoo. Now, details of his career have been forwarded here to us here in the Tribune, and the hope that someone can shed a bit of light on his exact birthplace, and if he might have any relatives in the locality, as it's we have a very distinguished looking picture of him here on the page as well. But a bit more about William. William McAdoo was born in the Ramelton area, so we're not exactly sure where, on October 25th, 1853, and died on June 7th, 1930. Having emigrated to the US, he would later become a Democratic Party politician who represented New Jersey's 7th Congressional District in the House of Representatives for 4 terms from 1883 to 1891. So a long political service there. He also served as New York City Police Commissioner in 1904 and 1905. So it's believed that he left Ramelton with possibly his parents, who settled in New Jersey in around 1856, and that's where he attended school. Now, there is...
that's fairly relatively recent, insofar as historical records are concerned,
Yeah, you'd think that there would be a bit... The detail will be out there. It's just, I suppose, it's a matter of it.
The detail is out there because, it's quoted as near Ramelton.
Near Ramelton, so we know the area.
We know the area, but as we say, Ramelton is a very, very big area. Stretches from McAdoo's Corner there, just up the road past the hotel, and right up to the Silver Tassie, basically, and beyond.
Yeah.
The whole of the loft side and down the Rathmullen Road. It's a very, very big area. And there was, of course, in the day, there was a huge amount of emigration to America.
Yeah.
Because there was big families like everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're talking about the stars and the great... Ramelton has created its own legacy and its own legend.
Yeah, without a doubt.
A lot of it in lifetime, as you mentioned there. The Nobel Prize winner, Bert Campbell.
Bill.
Then, of course, you had Bill Campbell, and, of course, you had Dave Gallagher.
Dave Gallagher, of course, the first All Black, yeah.
And then you had Patsy Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
The list is almost endless as you go through that there,
Yeah. And this guy, when you read the full article here in the paper, he had a very distinguished career. Like he was a well-known environmentalist. He served in the police. He served in politics. He was a very significant player in the area.
That's why we'd love to get some more data on his background, as where he was born. Yeah. He may well have relatives living in the area. Yeah. Maybe not exactly in Ramelton, but maybe close enough.
You can always make touch with us here in the Tribune to pass any of that detail on, because that's where we can throw a bit more light on that subject, which would be good to follow up on.
Tribune15@gmail.com if you want to contact us. On to something totally different.
Yeah, there's a nice wee piece. It's a little short, but I suppose very important piece for the type of thing that we do here. Mulroy College makes a bench in memory of Paddy. Lovely picture of a beautiful summer seat, lovely wee bench. And it turns out it looks like something you would buy in a high-end garden centre or something, but as they say here, the bench was actually made by the 5th and 6th year students at Mulroy College here in Milford, and they constructed the bench in memorial of their late friend and colleague and former caretaker up at the school, Patrick Gallagher. It was I suppose you think it's a perfect thing there. They can sit out in the sun and with good days like that.
It's not something you'd get in a high-end garden centre. It's much better than that, and it's much more personal.
It's much personal.
It is a work of art. Paddy Gallagher, whom we knew extremely well here in the town, knew very well. He was a legendary figure up on that the old tech, as we called it.
Yeah.
And you never saw Paddy without a smile. It's hard to believe that he's gone. Is it 5 years?
It doesn't actually state the date of it there, but they've just have it a very stylish chair, very well made by the look of it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it says in memory of Patrick Gallagher, our beloved caretaker, and I think that just says it all, doesn't it? Really, so it's a well done to them.
And before we move on to what is the main story, we have this piece, Loretto Milford, hopeful of brighter days ahead. Now, Margaret O'Connor, the principal at Loretto Community College in Milford, she has just reflected on, since they came back after Easter time, and she just sets the record very, very straight, that they've had 10 positive detections of COVID within that period. Now, given that they have 840 students, that's a very, very, very low number.
Yeah.
There's all these kind of scare stories out there. There's 10 at the convent and there's 5 at the Mulroy College. Most of that is highly exaggerated, but she's just very upfront and honest there. And I mean, the schools have managed this thing extremely well, because you have a three-way issue going on here. The schools are always safe places, but remember, students are travelling from both colleges, travelling to various locations.
Transport is the issue too.
Transport is a very big issue, but then you have the home setting. So you have a three-way dimensional thing there. At the weekend, the pupils probably are at home. I don't know what they're doing. They're probably not saying their prayers every day and every night, but they have to go back to school. There's no other option for it. But fair play to all the teaching staff, and indeed to the parents and indeed the students who have got us through this far, because there's 1 million of them altogether. That's excluding staff. But now we're going to move on to something totally different. I have nothing to do with this now.
Well, this is the one, I suppose. dogs feature regularly in the Tribune. We can't deny that. From our own in-house deputy editor Shanna here, and all that. But this is a very good story that came by James O'Donnell from Falcarra. James and Iggy are two of the best known characters, I suppose, on the go at the minute for all the good work they're doing promoting Donegal and all its beauty on social media. Iggy's well fit to pose for the camera, and James is well fit to take a good photograph. But James has managed to get Iggy to dip her paw into the international property market, because basically what happened was James has built up a large following from his photography over the years from Iggy, and it was through the photography that he befriended a couple from upstate New York who not only fell in love with the county, but they even enlisted the help of the dynamic Joe to come and help secure them a dream house here. And
this was all on Instagram.
Instagram.
This is how the American couple.
So the two boys, Iggy and James, go around taking photographs of the dog and locations, and this is getting great traction around the world. This couple, who were regular visitors to Ireland, called Tucker and Lisa Hughes, they have been here many, many times. Lisa has Irish ancestry, and that's all things Ireland that they seem to enjoy. And they found James and Iggy on Instagram, and they initially set up a meeting where they wanted to come and visit Donegal on one of their trips. They normally go to Kerry and places like that, where they had been fully intended on buying a holiday home in that area. But within a few very short space of time, it would seem, they came to Donegal. James and Iggy took them on a tour of the county, showed them various places, and they became very serious very quickly about buying a property here in Donegal. They initially tried their hand at buying one in the Dunfanny area, which didn't work out for them. And then they had planned to return, but while they were back in the United States and they were scouring the internet for all these destinations, lo and behold, didn't that house, one of the houses most closest to one of Ireland's most iconic scenic views down at Fanad Lighthouse, came on the market.
Yeah, the picture of it there is quite stunning against the that magnificent backdrop of sea and sky. It's the nearest house to the lighthouse, and it's built now for a number of years, but it is an absolutely outstanding house.
A stunner of a house anyway. But basically the couple in America had their heart set on getting the house, but they didn't really know what to do to progress it would seem. So they got back in touch with their pals James and Iggy. They did a lot of the groundwork and helping them view the house, I suppose, remotely and all that type of thing. And was suss out the area. They seemed to know that the area was a fine area anyway, and I know they're very much aware of the scenic, stunning backdrop of the lighthouse. And then James just informs us that recently the couple have got in contact to say that they have now purchased the house from the United States. Obviously couldn't visit the house, view the house because of COVID, but they are now all very much looking forward to coming to become part-time residents, maybe full-time residents if Anna. They could be neighbours of your own up there, John.
They'll be a couple of miles away from me, but not to be outdone, they weren't denied a real life view with Iggy and James's van and the beautiful house in the background. So we might even meet that couple when they do turn up here. But I want to finish off just with a brief note. The Dewey native proud to be the new AAI president, and that is a man called John Cronin, and he is the elected president of the Athletics Association of Ireland last Saturday, and he becomes only the second Donegal man ever to serve there, following in the footsteps of Kilmacrenan native father John O'Donnell. Now, one man who knows John very well is Miles Gallagher, who's a leading member of the Glenree Sports Club for many years, and they were formed in 1973. And just over 5 months later, John Cronin ran his first race on that Easter Sunday of 1974, and now he's going to be heading for the Olympics. Well done to him.
Brilliant, isn't it? A good story to see some local representative going on.
That was written by Declan Kerr.
Very good.
Talk to you next week again.
That's the way. I just suppose before we go, let people know they can always through the website. They can always, if they're looking to look at any of these articles, you can always get a wee look at it. You can get a copy of the paper through the website. If you're
simply Tirconaill Tribune, all one word, all lowercase, .com,
and
that'll get you there.
That'll get them there. So wherever in the world they can get a look at it, and the rest can always pick it up in the local shop. So,
but after listening to this, then you must go out and buy it.
Right.
But anyway, we're back next week at the same time. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye.